The devout Inman family seemed perfect on the outside. They went to church together every Sunday, but no one around them could have imagined what went on behind closed doors in that respectable household. William and Sandra Inman met in church in 1983. He was 18. She was only 16, two young people who, with their parents' permission, decided to marry. They settled in the small town of Logan in Hocking County, Ohio. Bill Inman considered himself a devout man. He worked in construction and played musical instruments at the Tabernacle of Faith Evangelical Church near Nelsonville, Ohio. Sandra was a homemaker. 1 year later, in 1984, the Inmans had a son named William Jr. Because father and son had the same name, to avoid confusion they called the father Bill and the son Will. Years went by, and William Jr. grew up. In 2001, at the age of 17, the boy met a girl named Summer Cook in church. She was only 15. Their story of meeting was very similar to Bill and Sandra's. Will and Summer were friends for 3 years, and when the girl turned 18, they married in 2004. Immediately after the wedding, the newlyweds began living with Will's parents in a large, spacious house in Logan, Ohio. That same year, 2004, the 39-year-old Bill Inman believed he was a religious leader. He converted his garage into an improvised church and began holding services there. Initially, locals were not entirely on board with everything the self-appointed pastor did, but his mysterious garage on the property first attracted neighbors, then acquaintances, and eventually more and more people. They prayed, soothed their souls, and left donations. In 2005, Will and Summer had their first son, Alex. Around this time, the Inman family began experiencing financial difficulties. Bill's work in the church did not bring in much money, and the family decided to move to another state in search of better opportunities. In 2006, all the Inmans moved to Florida, where Bill and Will quickly found work. The men worked in hotel construction, while Sandra and Summer took care of the house and raised Alex. 2 years later, the family returned from Florida to their home state of Ohio. By then, they had lost their house in Logan through foreclosure. They rented another house in rural Winden. Almost immediately after moving, in 2008, Will and Summer had a daughter named Kelly. 2 years later, a third child arrived, daughter Alana. Almost every weekend, the young parents, Will and Summer, tried to get out of the house for an entire day to relax and recharge. Bill and Sandra always supported their son and daughter-in-law, and on weekends, the grandparents looked after their 3 grandchildren, who were the center of their lives. In the spring of 2010, Bill Inman obtained his pastoral license, declared himself head of the Tabernacle of Faith Church, and, together with his wife, registered a nonprofit organization called Mercy Ranch. He decided he wanted to help people who had lost their jobs and home. He wanted to build a large house with his own hands to shelter orphaned children and widows, but there was a problem. The Inman family had no money for construction. Then Bill had the idea to hold a lottery. People would each buy a ticket to raise money for the build, and at the end there would be a draw in which one lucky person would win a house or 200. In addition, Bill Inman promised to award 99 more big prizes. Locals learned about this raffle from news and ads. Initially, Bill went door to door himself, asking people to participate and buy a ticket, promising a wonderful prize and saying that the remaining proceeds would go toward building a homeless shelter. The price per ticket was $10, and Bill sold a total of 100 tickets, collecting $1 million for the project. The drawing was supposed to take place in September 2010. Meanwhile, in the Inman family's private life, not everything was going as well as in their business dealing. In June 2010, Summer told her husband Will that she wanted to divorce him after 6 years of marriage. Shortly before that, Summer had written the following entry in her personal diary. "I'm so tired of trying to make everyone else happy. I'm exhausted. Don't I deserve to be happy? Don't I deserve to love someone again and feel love? I don't know if this is the right time, but I want to tell Will everything. I feel really bad. I think he deserves to know the truth. He needs to know that I don't want to be with him anymore, that I want to be alone to know myself and figure out who I am. Right now, I'm just a slave running around obeying all their orders. I love my children with all my heart. I wouldn't trade them for anything. I don't want them to grow up and see their mother just following orders. I don't know how Will react to all this. Maybe he'll get angry and try to take the kids away or threaten me or worse. I think the kids should see both of us equally often. I know Will's parents will turn against me and try to force me to stay, but I know that won't change anything. Last night, Will asked me what I want, and I don't know. I only know what I don't want. I don't want to be unhappy and feel trapped, but I couldn't tell him that, so I just sat there silently. Every day, I just want to cry and sleep and nothing happens. I don't know how to get out of this situation, so everything will be okay again. I hope that by my next entry I'll figure out how to set things right. She filed for divorce and moved out of the Inman house, taking her son, her 2 daughters, and her personal belongings. They moved into Summer's parents' house. She did not want to deprive her children of their father, so she allowed them to see their father and grandparents. 2 months after separating from her husband, in August 2010, Summer Inman began a relationship with a man named Adam Peters. Around the same time, Summer took a job at a bank in downtown Logan. Since she had no formal training, she worked as a custodian. In September, the house that was supposed to be given away by Mercy Ranch, the nonprofit owned by the Inman family, was to be raffled off. By that point, however, construction on the prize house had not even begun. The months of September and October went by without any progress, and the raffle never took place. No one gave a reason, and Mercy Ranch was in no hurry to refund participants' money. On December 1, 2010, the Inman family was informed that they had to vacate their rented house because they owed a large amount in back rent. When Summer found out, she traveled with Adam to the Inman house to retrieve personal belongings she had left behind. However, she and her new boyfriend Adam were not allowed inside. Summer called the police, reporting that her estranged husband was threatening her and preventing her from getting her things. When the police arrived, Will and his parents still wouldn't let anyone into the house. Will threatened to shoot Adam, and then got into an argument with a police officer. Summer wrote a statement against her husband, saying that before they got married, their relationship had been perfect, but after the official wedding, Will changed drastically. He began constantly controlling her and making demands, telling her what to do and when to do it. This applied to meals, housework, and their intimate life. Summer wasn't allowed to go to bed without her husband's permission. He kept her locked up at home and wouldn't let her go out, hiding her cell phone and key. Summer confessed that Will wanted her to bear him 12 children. He dreamed of having a second wife and frequently visited websites for polygamous families, where he posted explicit photos of himself. Summer said that Will threatened to kill her if she filed for divorce, and he had also taken her cats away and driven them somewhere unknown, claiming they jumped out of an open window and disappeared, and that she would never see them again. After Summer's accusations, Will apologized and claimed he had only taken her phones and keys because he suspected she had a lover. He said the cats were feral, damaging furniture and scratching everyone, so he simply took them to an animal shelter. Will Inman received a restraining order and was forbidden from approaching Summer. In addition, he was fined and given probation. At the same time, a fierce custody battle began between the two families. The Inman family went to the police to report that Adam Peters was a dangerous man who could harm Alex, Kelly, and Alana. And in fact, something terrible did happen in Summer's life. Late on the evening of March 22, 2011, 25-year-old Summer Inman finished her shift at the bank. After locking up the branch, she cleaned up the employees' workstations and stepped outside to throw away the trash. It was already 11 p.m. Summer sent a text message to her boyfriend, with whom she had plans after work, but Adam was not waiting for her. At around 11:30 p.m., Adam went to the bank where Summer worked. He walked around the building and found her belongings in the alley next to the dumpster. On the ground were Summer's phone, her keys, and a working music player with headphones. A bit farther off in the grass lay her jacket. Adam called Summer's parents to inform them of his discovery and that she was missing, asking them to contact the police right away. Her parents first called the bank to ask about Summer, suspecting she might have arrived late to clean and lost her phone and personal items. But bank security had no idea where she was. The parents then called the Logan Police Department to report their daughter missing. They explained that Summer was on a strict schedule and rarely ran late for work. Officers arrived at the scene where Summer's personal belongings had been found. 3 witnesses were already there, saying they had seen Summer abducted from that spot an hour earlier. 2 women who had been out jogging that evening testified that they saw Summer taking out the trash when a white Ford Crown Victoria approached, driven by a blonde woman. 2 men in black ski masks got out of the car, grabbed Summer, and forced her into the back seat. She resisted, screamed, and cried for help. A bystander tried to intervene, but the Drivera blonde woman sprayed him in the face with pepper spray, and he backed off. The car then sped away. The 2 female joggers ran to the nearest police station to report the incident, but for some reason, the police found the women's story odd and thought they had made it up. Officers did not arrive at the scene until an hour later, after Summer's parents had contacted them. Sadly, it was not possible to find the missing woman in a pursuit. News of the 25-year-old Summer Inman's abduction quickly spread through every local news outlet, and hundreds of concerned residents of Logan came together to help in the search. 3 days went by, and hope of finding her safe and sound grew fainter. Her parents tried not to think about the worst possible outcome. Just a few weeks before her disappearance, Summer Inman had posted a photo on her Facebook page with her new boyfriend, Adam, along with her son and daughters. In the photo, they seemed like a truly happy family. Will Inman thought so too when he saw the new post on Adam Peters' Facebook page, with whom he happened to be Facebook friends. The question arose, why would a husband add his ex-wife's boyfriend as a friend? It turned out that Summer met Adam before she ever decided to leave Will. A year earlier, in the spring of 2010, Adam Peters, who had no steady job and scraped by on occasional work, took a job with the Inman family doing house and yard maintenance. That's where he met Summer and fell in love with her. He began paying attention to her. At first, she rejected him, but she eventually gave in. In Summer's diary there is an entry. When I looked into his eyes, I realized the devil had taken hold of me. I didn't listen to what God was telling me. I tried to stop, but my mind was screaming, "Run away, leave now." Instead, I stayed and let him hug me, and then I sank even deeper. I'm really sorry. It was my fault. Her encounter with Adam was the beginning of the end of Summer's life at the Inman's house. She realized she wanted to be happy and feel loved, so she filed for divorce, which was taking a long time. 50. At the time, his total annual income was just $6,500 a month. Will Inman and his parents tried to gain full custody of the children, but the judge refused. Bill and Sandra had lost weight and looked gaunt since losing regular contact with their grandchildren. Everyone who knew them agreed that their grandchildren were the purpose of their lives. In March, after Summer disappeared, the police tracked down the Inman family. All 3, Bill, Sandra, and Will, were at Bill's 70-year-old mother's house in Jackson County, Ohio. They all claimed they knew nothing about Summer's abduction. According to the Inmans, they had driven to Cleveland the night Summer was abducted to look at a new house. After a 3-hour drive, their car broke down, and they spent the whole night outside trying to fix it, returning to Logan only in the morning. They claimed they got along well with Summer and rarely argued, but that once Adam Peters moved in with them, life darkened. All 3 insisted that Adam was a bad person who had destroyed their once happy, loyal, and pious family. Officers noticed a white Ford Crown Victoria parked in the yard of the Inman home. The car was examined, and police secured a GPS receiver. It turned out that on the afternoon of March 22, the day Summer was abducted, The car had indeed been in Logan, and the GPS system was switched off around 5:30 p.m. It wasn't turned back on again until the next morning, March 23, in Logan. There was no verification that the Inmans had driven to Cleveland. A phone records check also showed that all three were in Logan on March 22 and 23. Soon it came to light that on the morning of March 23 at 7:30 a.m., the Inman family, Bill, Sandra, and Will, had gone to a car wash to have the interior thoroughly cleaned. Summer was not with them. After the car wash, they went to an auto shop in Cleveland to have the tires changed. Workers at the shop said they found it odd that Bill wanted to replace nearly new tires with used ones. He said he simply didn't like the tires he had. It also emerged that the Inmans tried to alter the look of their car by having Bill remove the police-style spotlight located on the driver's door near the side mirror. Bill, Sandra, and Will Inman were arrested and interrogated. Before his arrest, Bill told his mother that they had done nothing wrong and that the whole ordeal was the devil's doing. During questioning, all three continued to insist on their innocence and denied knowing who had kidnapped Summer Inman or why. After several hours, Sandra Inman, who realized they could face the death penalty if found guilty, broke down and confessed everything. She admitted that they were the ones who abducted Summer on the night of March 22. The men in black masks were her husband, Bill, and her son, Will. Sandra said she was the one who came up with the idea to abduct Summer and scare her, but things did not go according to plan. When Summer was shoved into the back seat of the car, Will put plastic zip ties around her neck, arms, and legs. He wanted to scare his wife so that she would come to her senses and let him, his son, and his daughters see each other. He tried to cut through the ties with a knife and free her, calling to his mother, "Oh my God, Mom, where's the knife? I can't find it." All three were terrified, searching for the knife, but after a few moments, Summer stopped breathing and died. Sandra insisted they did not intend to kill their daughter-in-law. They just wanted to resolve their custody problems in this way so they could see their grandchildren on weekends. On March 29, 2011, 7 days after the abduction, Sandra showed the police where they had hidden the body. They had placed Summer in a septic tank on the grounds of the Tabernacle of Faith Church near Nelsonville, 30 kilometers from the bank where Summer worked. Bill Inman had helped build that church, and it was the same church where Bill and Sandra were married 28 years earlier. The Inman family had gone there every Sunday for many years, and Bill had played instruments there. When police removed the concrete slab, unscrewed 6 bolts from the metal lid, and lifted it open, they immediately saw Summer's feet. She had been thrown headfirst into the pit, wearing the same clothes as on her last work day, a black t-shirt with the words, "I don't have an anger problem. I have a problem with idiots." An autopsy showed that Summer had indeed been strangled. There were no other injuries on her body apart from marks on her neck, arms, and legs indicating she had been tied up. Sandra said that at first, she had wanted Bill to dump the body in a river, but then thought it would be safer to hide it in the well by the church, because no one would find it there. She admitted she was deeply ashamed of her actions. The trial took place soon afterward. Bill Inman, 49, and Will Inman, 28, both pleaded not guilty to Summer's death. They said very little during the hearing, showed no emotion, and avoided looking at the victim's parents. Sandra Inman, 47, was the only one who pleaded guilty and tried to take full responsibility. She continued to claim it was her idea to frighten her daughter-in-law. Before sentencing, Sandra tearfully addressed Summer's parents and asked for their forgiveness. Her words were difficult to make out because of her sobbing and emotion, but one thing was clear: she was remorseful. Sandra said that Summer was like her own daughter, and that if she could turn back time, she would never repeat her terrible plan. In 2012, all three were found guilty. Bill and Will Inman each received a life sentence with no possibility of parole. Sandra Inman received a life sentence but can be considered for parole after 15 years. All close friends and fellow church members knew that the Inman family was run as a patriarchy. None of them believed Sandra had been the one to initiate this crime, knowing that Bill was the head of the household and always had the final word, and that Will had been spoiled since childhood, with his parents fulfilling his every whim. Those who knew them believed Sandra was trying to take the blame and lessen the punishment for her husband and son as much as possible. Alex, Kelly, and Alana are still being raised by the parents of the deceased Summer. It took them a long time to explain to their grandchildren where their mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather had gone. Thank you for watching and take care of yourselves.